I work out a couple times a week, and I've been looking for the perfect sports bra, one that is easy to get on and off after a good sweat without throwing out my back. Found it. The Closer Bra by Handful has a zipper front, but it hooks beneath the zipper to kind of keep the girls contained. Handful also offers leggings and other workout clothes in great colors like whipped cream, latte, and navy camo. Made by women for women. Go to handful.com where I got you a great deal with 30% off the price. Use the promo code LifeUnscripted and you get 30% off. I earn a commission when you use my code. So if you buy, you support me and my show. To make it even easier, click onto My Deals link where you can find a bunch of other great deals. Promo code LifeUnscripted for 30% off at Handful.
You're listening to Life Unscripted with Alix Kendall.
There are many ways to handle a tragedy in your life. You can wallow in despair, or in the case of my next guest, you can take action and use it as a platform to help others. Courtney Godfrey became an amputee in 2017 after a freak boating accident where she lost her leg. Her story from there includes making the U.S. Paralympic snowboarding team and becoming a rising advocate for amputees. She's also had 2 children. Courtney joins me on Life Unscripted, and we should mention you are also a journalist. It's so great to have you here.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, we go way back. We've worked at Fox 9 in Minneapolis together for years, different shifts, so I rarely see you, but...
Right. I think that's important to just explain that we know each other personally. But yes, we're just passing ships, but I've been such a fan of your work, and you're dynamic. You have a ton of energy. And let's talk about your life, if we can. We know that you are a hardworking reporter, and you're balancing life with 2 kids, and you're out there working as a journalist. What has that balance been like for you?
Well, I've stepped back recently because of all the other things I do that we're going to talk about. But, for me, the balance comes with understanding that what I do is separate from me as a mom. Like, we had to cover a horrible situation here in Minneapolis with a school shooting. And I've covered, unfortunately, lots of death with children. And as a mom, it brings a different level to it. But I understand that when I'm doing this as a job, I'm going in, I'm a journalist, and then I go home and I'm a mom. So it's just, I don't know. It's just what I do. I don't look at it as anything special, right? Many of us are moms, and many of us go to work every day. We work hard, and then we go home and we have 2 jobs. Right? And
That's right.
I don't think it's anything special. It's so funny because people always are like, wow, how do you do it? It's like, I just do. Yeah, you're a mom.
Okay, so if you can, we're going to, for people who may not know about what happened to you, I'm just going to say, so you were on a boat.
I had my leg chopped off. Just say it, Alix. I had my leg chopped off.
So this was in 2017, and just if you can just sort of set up what happened so people can understand what you've been through, and obviously and all the things you've done since then.
Yeah, well, I'll fill all 35 minutes if you want me to keep going. But so 8 years ago, my husband grew up here in Minnesota. He grew up on the lake, and he's a big water skier. So we lived in downtown, but we kept our boat out at his parents' house, and every weekend, just like most Minnesotans, we would be out on the lake enjoying the water. And this one weekend was special because my sister and her husband were in town. It was their first time coming to Minnesota. And so, of course, we took them out on the lake.
Of course. You do that if you live in Minnesota.
Do. Yeah. And we wanted to show them this lifestyle that we love so much because they just think they live in California. They're like, what are you doing there? Why do you live there? It's
You're like, we have 10,000 lakes, but okay, you have an ocean, but just this is our version.
All they think of is winter. They're like, winter's terrible. Why would you live here? You need to move home. Well, let's show them why we love it so much. So we took them out on the lake, and we had a great day. And it was towards the end of the day, my husband said, well, let me show you this one last trick. It's called a power turn. It's a very common maneuver in water ski boats. It's like doing a donut in the water. That's how I describe it. I've been in boats hundreds of times as this has been done. So my husband initiated this turn. It's a fast turn. And as soon as he initiated the turn, I just lost my grip on the boat, and I got dumped into the water. And I guess what happened next is the boat just turned over me. It's an inboard propeller, so my foot just happened to meet the propeller at the right time. I'm grateful every day that it was my foot and not my head.
Yeah.
And I came out of the water, and my sister is a nurse. And thank God, as soon as she saw my foot, They pulled me up onto the boat. She tourniqueted my leg with the ski rope, saved me from needing any blood at the hospital. She truly did do miraculous work on the back of the boat and just went into that nurse mode. And it's funny because when I got in the ambulance, do you know the first phone call that I made my husband make?
No.
Ian Leonard, the weatherman at our TV station, because I was supposed to work the next day. And Ian's a close friend of ours. So I said, Ryan, call Ian and tell Fox I can't work tomorrow. I had my priorities straight, Alex.
Yeah, and you probably didn't know what was ahead,
No.
right? And so what happened after that is you also had a choice to make. You learned that you're going to lose your leg, but you also made a choice to have more of it taken. Explain why.
Yeah, so the propeller, like you said, when I got loaded into the ambulance, you have this like trauma response. So even though I saw my foot and it did not look good, your brain tells you, oh, well, they can fix it. It's going to be okay. So I went into the stabilization room at the ER thinking, well, maybe they can just sew everything back together, until one of the residents in the ER said, we're not going to be able to save your foot tonight. And it was about that time that they put the mask on me and I went under. That night, they closed up the leg just, to make sure that they had everything cleaned up. And obviously there was risk of infection, all those things. So they just wanted to get everything safe and clean and tied back up. The next day, the head of orthopedic surgery at Hambleton Healthcare came into my room and said, listen, we want to take more of your leg because we hear you're very active. We hear you love to snowboard. You love to wear high heels. Your husband says you're really into fitness. And with prosthetic technology, all that is available to you, but we need to be able to give you an ankle joint. So if I remained amputated at the ankle, I would have been very limited in the feet that were available to me. So they amputated me mid-calf, which gave me access to some amazing prosthetics that are on the market today. Obviously not the same as a real foot, but still it gives me access to a full life.
Wow. Okay. That is, and it's a good thing that they understood that and they knew that about you. As you said, you have always been an active person. You work out, and you love being, on the snowboard. And tell me about the first time that you got back on, because I'm sure that your journey of healing was part of that.
Yeah. So it was like my second night in the hospital, and one of my husband's parents, they had a connection with a man who was on the U.S. Paralympic snowboard team, Mike Schultz from St. Cloud, Minnesota. And him and his wife came down to the hospital, and they said, listen, we hear you like to snowboard. I snowboard, obviously. He said, I want to help you get back on your snowboard when you're ready. And he said, how does February 1st look? And I'm looking at the calendar going,
wait, what?
Now, I'm on a lot of pain meds right now, but that is 4 months away. Like, are you aware of the situation? I thought he was crazy, but he held me to it. So we stayed in contact, and February 1st came, and we all went out as a family. I strapped back into my snowboard. I made some turns at Powder Ridge up in Kimball, Minnesota. And listen, it wasn't the mountains of Vail, Colorado, but just to feel the wind in my hair again. And it was just that feeling of like, oh, you can do this. Your life is not over. And that's what that was for me. Your life is not over.
I mean, a big part of it must also be just, who you are. You were just like, well, I'm going forward. I'm not going to let this get in the way. And really, from that point on, it seems like you were on a mission in many different ways.
It's funny. Everyone responds to trauma and grief in different ways. And I don't think there's a right or a wrong way. For me, I've always been a naturally positive person. So when this happened to me, obviously it was a loss. It was a life I was not prepared for. It was a life I knew nothing about. I didn't have a friend that wore a prosthetic leg. I knew nothing about the amputee community or this life that was ahead of me. But I knew that my life was not over. And so I chose in that hospital bed to choose positivity. I was going to make something great out of this. And you'll look back, when the newspapers and media were interviewing me in those days after, one of the headlines said, TV news reporter going to lead with positivity after losing leg in freak accident. And that is what I was putting out there even in those days after.
And it wasn't just the drugs.
It was not the drugs. The
It's
drugs
just who
were
you
good,
are.
but it was just who I am, and I still believe that. There's a lot of, like, my husband lives with a lot of guilt about what happened because he was driving the boat, and we just had the 8-year anniversary of my accident, and even
What did you do for that? Did you get back
I went to
on the boat?
work. I
such a
reported the
journalist.
news. I reported the news. I did. I went to work. I didn't even think about it. It's such a inconsequential day for me now, but it is a day for reflection of everything I've been able to do, everything I've been able to accomplish, and everyone I've been able to help along the way. But there's multiple people in this situation, right? And my husband that night, we hadn't really talked about it much because he knows that I didn't really want to talk about it. I didn't need any fanfare about it or anything. And he said, "I'm sorry." And I just said, no, it's okay, but we're not doing that, right? So he still lives with that guilt, but that's not how I see it. I don't blame anyone. This is something that happened to me, but I did something great with it, and
You did.
So
And you continue to.
thank you.
And I know that the training, for instance, so you went to the Netherlands for your first competition, and the training process, the part that maybe people don't realize is just it's still painful. You put on the prosthetic, and it's not comfortable. You have to get used to that, and you just seem to kind of lean into the pain and just kind of grit and bear it.
Yeah. So I made the U.S. Parasnowboard team. I was on the U.S. Parasnowboard team last year. I started competing with the encouragement of other U.S. Parasnowboard members who I'd connected with on social media. And once I ended up making the team, you're on the U.S. team now. It's like this is no joke. It is nutrition, it's training, it's lifestyle, it's everything. It was all consuming, which is why I had to step back from TV because it became my full-time job. And yeah, when you like that first race in the Netherlands, I was terrible, but I just kept working at it and kept coming back, kept showing up. And
did you get a little hungry after that?
Yeah, I got hungry.
The addiction, or just probably you got a great adrenaline fix from it. But
absolutely
obviously more too.
And it does, like you said, it does hurt. Everyone on the parasnowboard team, not everybody's an amputee, but everyone has some disability, and that's an extra layer of what we deal with as professional athletes is the prosthetic pain. I'm training for hours every day on a snowboard, and there are pressure points that pop up. There's pain, and it's just part of the game.
The community of Paralympics and just the people that you've met has been, it sounds like, they embrace you, and it's been an experience that probably continues to inspire and to motivate you.
Absolutely. Everyone on the team has an amazing story, and the attitude that you find in the Paralympic movement, it's not just a bunch of egos, a bunch of athletes going for this goal. It's athletes who are incredible in their sport, but they've also been to hell and back in a lot of situations, and they've overcome. And so to be around those people constantly who are fierce and determined, it really motivates you in all aspects of your life.
Right. So beyond your athletic pursuits, we know that you have been using your public platform as an advocate for amputee rights and access to healthcare, and you did a lot in 2025. Explain how you became involved in legislation and what has happened since then.
Yeah, so we've had a great movement that the amputee community has rallied behind. Here in Minnesota, we got a bill passed where now individuals living with limb loss can get more than just one prosthetic. So insurance companies are required to provide like a running blade or a shower foot, an additional foot, as opposed to just your everyday walking foot. There were some amazing people behind it. I just showed up a few times and kind of gave it my support. But something that I'm really proud of is I got a boat insurance bill passed several years ago. After my accident, we realized that children and spouses were not covered on your boat insurance. And my husband grew up in the West Metro, grew up on a lake.
Okay,
And we started telling friends. A lot of our friends have boats. Hey, just so you know, we found out because my husband went to file a claim because this is going to be a life full of cost. Newsflash, prosthetics are not cheap, and insurance does not cover all your prosthetics. There's high deductibles. They only cover one leg every 4 years, for example, usually. So anything additional you want, a running blade, a high heel foot, anything that can help you lead a healthy, fulfilled life. And they don't cover it.
They don't cover it. And we know just going through any kind of health insurance now claim is probably the most tedious and frustrating. So that is like a whole other layer.
Oh, that's a whole other. We could do a whole podcast about that. But so we knew this was going to be a lifetime of cost. And so he went to file the claim and they said, sorry, she's not covered. And what are you talking about? I had a huge liability policy on the boat and an umbrella policy over that. Well, there was a thing called the family exclusion in both the boat policy and the umbrella policy that excludes your spouse or your children from coverage. Thankfully, after a few years of fighting, and I was up against it, I was up against the insurance lobbies in this state, and they were ruthless. I got the bill passed. So now in the state of Minnesota, your children and your spouse are covered under your boat insurance now. And it doesn't impact me. It was not retroactive, but I'm happy that for the next person that this happens to, that they will be able to cover the costs of their disability.
Well, that is huge. That is a huge accomplishment. And we know how big the healthcare and the kind of power that they have. So that really says a lot.
But they didn't know who they were up against.
They did not. They did not know they were up against Courtney Godfrey.
They figured it out pretty quick. They're like, this girl ain't going away. And I would tell them, I'd say, I'm not going away until I get this done. So good luck.
And what other avenues when it comes to rights of amputees at the state and the federal level, as far as improving access, is there a long way to go there, or how are we doing in Minnesota roughly?
Yeah, well, because of So Everybody Can Move getting passed in Minnesota, it's better for Minnesotans, and a few other states have passed that same law. The movement is going state by state and tackling it on the state level as opposed to federally. But I would say access to prosthetics is huge, and especially for people who are on a fixed income or children. It's huge for children. So an insurance company will look at a child and say, well, they're going to put the same rules on them that they put on me. One new leg every 2 to 4 years. Well, a child grows.
Right.
So much.
Go through so many more
yes.
prosthetics.
So how do the parents pay for that? It's out of pocket. If they need a new leg before insurance says they can, it's out of pocket. Or kids. Kids really thrive when they have a running blade. Mm-hmm. A running blade allows them to run around and just participate in PE and be kids. Unfortunately, insurance doesn't cover those for kids usually. And so that's an out-of-pocket cost. And luckily, I work with an amazing nonprofit who steps in and will provide those things when insurance doesn't cover it. But all amputees should have access to prosthetics that can help them lead a healthier life, a full life. And unfortunately, at this point, we don't have that. And I know I pay an exorbitant amount out of pocket every year. Luckily, I am able to shoulder that burden, but a lot of people can't.
A lot of people can't. No.
And why should they?
Exactly. Our health system is just a big mess. I know that you get a lot out of volunteering, and this is, you're doing work, at the legislative level and everything, but you also go essentially and meet with people who have recently become an amputee, and there is a nonprofit organization, Wiggle Your Toes. Wiggle Your Toes. I love the name of it.
It's very creative.
Tell us about that.
Yeah. So I got connected to Wiggle Your Toes the night after my accident. My sister was in California waiting for her flight to fly out, my other sister. And she was just Googling resources because this was a new life for all of us. And she found Wiggle Your Toes. And our motto is heal, recover, flourish. So we deal with 3 tiers of the limb loss journey. Heal, so we show up for you in those first dark days when you're very unsure what your future looks like, and we just kind of show you that your life isn't over. And, sometimes we go into your house and we put grab bars in and we modify your house for you so that it's safe for you when you come home. Recover is part of that is going into the home and doing those modifications. And then flourish is where we show you that there is life again. And so we hold a lot of clinics. We do a wakeboarding clinic, a snowboarding clinic, a biking clinic, a running clinic, because we just want to show people that there is this possibility for you. You can get back into the sports that you loved, or maybe start a new sport. Or for some people, they don't want to run. They don't want to snowboard. They just want to connect with other amputees. And for them, that is flourish. So it's...
They want to dance. Whatever.
Yeah. And so sometimes it is buying a prosthetic for someone who needs it, especially kids. But a lot of times it's just connecting them and providing community and showing them that your life isn't over. It's going to be okay.
I love coffee, but I've avoided drinking it in the afternoon because I want to sleep. I was one of those people who declared there's no such thing as great decaf coffee, but I stand corrected. Savorista coffee naturally decaffeinates with no harsh chemicals. Flavors like bourbon pecan decaf. It's like you're drinking dessert. And I have a sweet tooth. And half-calf blends like Barely Buzzed. So good. I can drink coffee all day long. Sound good? I've arranged the highest exclusive discount for my listeners if you want to try this coffee. It is delicious. Use my promo code LifeUnscripted, and I earn a commission when you use my promo code. So don't forget LifeUnscripted to get 25% off of Savorista coffee.
You're watching Life Unscripted with Alix Kendall.
You connect with a lot of people on social media, and you definitely have a strong following. And we were discussing how difficult that can be. You want to reach out, people reach out to you, and you're doing a lot of great work for people that really need that inspiration. But it's two-pronged or maybe 10-pronged. There are the downsides of that, and you have young children, and trying to balance, okay, how much time am I going to spend on reaching out or basically responding to something on Instagram or one of the other platforms?
Yeah, I think this topic is so important right now because the research is overwhelmingly showing us that social media is having a negative impact on our society. It's having a negative impact on our mental health, on our children, but on adults as well. It's a dopamine hit every time you open up that app and you start doom scrolling. It's been compared to heroin. It is a drug. But I use it in a positive way. So it's hard because I put myself out there, and I made that choice in the beginning that I wanted to put myself out there in hopes of helping other people on this same journey. So I am very open about the positives and the negatives of being someone that wears a prosthetic leg. And because of that, people reach out to me all the time. And I love it when people reach out to me because that's why I do it. That's why I post. Just a guy yesterday reached out to me, saw a picture I posted in a pool on vacation wearing my leg. And he said, hey, I'm a pretty new amputee. I want to wear my leg in the water, but I've heard mixed things about it. How do you do it? What's the aftercare? How does it work? And I took the time to write him a response. And a lot of times I'll even give him my cell phone number and say, hey, call me. If you want to chat, call me. Now, what I've run into with two kids is my 2.5-year-old. I told you this before we started recording. My 2.5-year-old has started coming up to me going, I want your phone. And I'm like, oh my gosh, she's already addicted to the phone. She doesn't even know what it does. She doesn't even know how to use it.
She wants to be like mommy.
She wants to be like mommy. And that was a huge reality hit. She wants to be like mommy, who's apparently always holding her phone.
A lot of mommies are. In fact, most of us are.
I'm like, oh my gosh. So what I'm doing now, I'm trying to find the balance. I limit my time. I took Instagram as my drug, and I took the Instagram app off my homepage so that I can't just automatically click it when I open. And I'll take pictures and videos throughout the day, and then once the kids are asleep, I post. Now, the algorithm probably doesn't like that. It wants me to post all day long, but this is the balance I've found because I don't want to give it up because I know that it helps people to see me living such a full life. When, especially for people who are new to this life, they go on there, they find me, they see I'm snowboarding, I'm working out, I'm wearing high heels, I'm in the pool. I'm proud of the way I look, and I'm posting pictures in short skirts and bikinis, whatever. I think it's important for people to see that, but I
Probably
also
also attract some people that you may not necessarily
girl.
want
There are
to
some
communicate
sick,
with.
There are some sick people out there. We'll just leave it at that. I could probably make more money if I got an OnlyFans account and just shared pictures of my nub, but I'm not going to stoop to that level. But there are sick people out there, and you get that too. But I think the good, at least on my account, outweighs the bad. So at the end of the day, it's worth it, but it's a balance and figuring out how to do it and not let it run your life.
You have a lot coming up. A really exciting opportunity that I think you can talk about now.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. I'm going to let you tell it because it's. I mean, you're getting the opportunity of a lifetime.
Yeah, I'm so excited, Alex. I got a call from NBC Sports when I ended this season, and they said, "Hey, you're probably preparing for Italy 2026, the Paralympics, but we're interested if you're interested." And I'm like, oh man, how do you choose between those two things? Racing in the Paralympics, being able to call yourself a Paralympian, or taking the biggest opportunity of your life career-wise? And I thought about it a lot, and I would have retired after this season anyway. I'm 38 years old. It's all starting to hurt because it's a high-impact sport. And TV is what I do. TV is what I love. I'm a great snowboarder, but I'm a better TV reporter, I always say. So I flew out there. I did the audition. They offered me the job, and I will be co-hosting all Paralympic coverage on NBC Sports for those 2 weeks in March. And I am so excited. Just not even excited about the opportunity career-wise, excited to be on national television as an individual with a prosthetic leg and showing just that diversity.
Right. That is really incredible. So
Yeah.
Congrats on that.
So
My gosh,
excited.
I'm not surprised. You are dynamic on television, and you're a great reporter and journalist. And now you have something new, and eventually, I mean, I don't see you leaving at least the media world for a long time because you have a bright future ahead of you.
What kept you coming back for so many years, right? It's like
Yeah.
it's in our DNA.
It is in our
It's
DNA.
so hard to walk away from, and I'm sure it's been a struggle for you as well.
Yeah, it was really. And you mentioned your anniversary date of when that. Very different, things here, but comparing it to a year went by of leaving Fox 9, working as a TV anchor and a news reporter, and I realized that it kind of went by, and I almost forgot about it because I've been so, focused on this podcast, which I love. But it still is like, oh, wow, it was an adjustment to get here. There was a couple of months where I'm like, I didn't know what to do with the energy that I was so
And I
used to.
bet you delayed that retirement time and time again because the idea of walking away, it's not just a career, it's an identity for us.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it for a long time. So I thought, like anybody, I'm prepared for this. But I really did some deep reflection, and I think anyone who is, retiring is such a weird word. It means to me my next phase.
Yeah.
And it just is a way for me to kind of sit back and go, all right, I want to have enough energy to move on to the next thing. And this made perfect sense to launch a podcast, and it's great to have guests like you and who just open my mind to a lot of different things, but just, to kind of bathe in your inspiration, I would say.
And look at what happens when you take risk, right? I left my successful career in local news really unsure of what was going to happen. And, I still freelance, so you still will see me. If you're in Minneapolis, you will still see me on the news occasionally. I still work here locally. But I had to step back when I made the U.S. team, unsure of whether I'd be able to get back into it, whether anybody would want me. And look at what happened. I took the risk, and I got this huge opportunity. And now I'll be broadcast on various NBC platforms for 2 weeks in March across the country, covering something I'm passionate about. Para sports. So it's just look at life. Look at what happens when you take a risk.
I believe in taking risks, and you've done a great example. You have a great example of your life in taking risks. So, Courtney, it is so great to have you here on Life Unscripted. I am just honored to have you as a guest, and of course, we know each other, but you are, for so many people, just you as a person are inspiring, and We are going to be watching you for sure.
Please do. It's not over yet. So I know there's big things ahead, and I'm excited for you as well. This is so cool to see you in this different realm. So congratulations.
Thanks, Courtney.